Welcome to the latest edition of Who Are You Backing? And in honour of a new twist we're putting on the show, we're going to do relatively formal introductions. We'll start with the challenger in the blue corner from the Fighting City of Birmingham.
Yes, sir.
UK, not Alabama, I should point out. Joe Leigh.
Yeah, that's me. I'm coming to win.
Joe Leigh.
It's about time, isn't it?
Can't beat a bit of Dolly.
Nah, sure.
And his opponent, reigning champion, veteran,
Maybe.
weighing in an obscene amount of stones and pounds, from London, Danny, Flexecutioner, credit to Steve Lillis, Flexen.
Coming to get knocked out.
Flexen.
Oh,
had to be done. And just to explain to people out there, what we're going to do this week, and we've lifted this shamelessly from PFT, Pro Football Talks drafts, and they may have lifted it from somewhere else, I don't know. But we're going to take turns on this particular topic, and we're going to do it like a draft. And there's going to be a boxing-related question that if Joe gets right, he gets the first pick. And if he gets it wrong, the first pick goes to me. And what we're going to discuss this week is fighters that are going to win a world title before the end of this year, taking into account, obviously, the pandemic and so on. And we've kind of got our picks lined up. Obviously, we're allowed 3 picks each, but we've got more than 3 ready because we might steal each other's picks depending on how the order goes. So, Joe, are you ready for your trivia question?
I'm always ready. What we got?
Who was the last British boxer to win their first world title?
I'm going to go with Callum Smith, but I know it wasn't.
It was Josh Taylor.
Oh, that was recent as well. Fairly recent.
Yeah, it was like 2 fights ago now.
Yeah, that's rookie. Who said I shouldn't have asked the question?
Next time you can ask it next.
No. That's fair.
Right, so with my first pick, a bit of an obvious one, but I'm going to go for Breidis.
Yeah.
He's obviously already got a fight lined up for the IBF Cruiserweight title, final of the World Boxing Super Series tournament. Yeah. It's a stern challenge from Uniel Dorticos, I'm sure. Big punching Cuban, but Breidis is a very technically skilled fighter. He's obviously been a world champion in the past, going to get the IBF version this time. I fancy him to win that fight. It's already in the books. It's almost certainly going to happen at some point this year. So he was, without doubt, my first pick by a mile.
Do you think he's going to be happy about the behind closed doors situation?
No, he won't get the same sort of advantages he gets fighting in Latvia, as it's been like a regular recently. But I still fancy him to win the fight. And if it's a fight that's almost certainly going to happen this year, it just seems like a no-brainer.
I'm going to trump you. I think I've got one that's just it's 100% he's going to win. He's almost got there before, but I think it's a better story, mine.
Build it up.
Of course, yeah. So he's just come off a fight in a strip club. I don't know if you get that, or a nightclub in Spain. But his last proper fight was in Russia, Anthony Yarde, and that was his first real world title test. And he came up close in round 8, of course, but he showed he belongs at that level. So for me, the fact that he got that fight in the nightclub, he wants to come straight back into a world title fight. He knows he's going to get that. The WBO is vacant at the moment, obviously because of the Canelo situation, him just winning it and then vacating it straight away. So Anthony Yarde will fight for that, I believe, the end of this year. It'll probably be behind closed doors because it's looking like boxing isn't going to be in arenas with fans till next year. So.
Well, the WBO announced like a 4-man tournament for that vacant title.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's still going ahead because there was all sorts of breakdowns in negotiations.
Yeah.
Particularly with Elida Alvarez's fight.
Yeah,
if that does, then it could tie the belt up for the rest of the year. Because I did consider Yarde.
Yeah.
But you can't go back now.
No, I'm still backing Yarde. I think his strategy as well with the System 9. The fact that he's trainer as well, I think he's employed a lot of good mentality towards it, the hit and not get hit strategy. So, yeah, I'll stick
in System 9.
Yeah.
But believe it, what is it? Believe it, achieve it, become it. something like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, my number two, and it's genuinely my number two because I didn't have Yarde on the list, is Brian Castano or Castano, however it's pronounced.
I thought you'd go for someone like him.
Yeah, well, he's super well. So he's got a fight in the books. I think it was
Yeah.
supposed to take place this weekend. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. Against Patrick Teixeira, who's a WBO champion. Teixeira's a good fighter, but he won the WBO interim belt, not the full title, and then was later upgraded. Against Carlos Adames, he only squeaked past him on a very, very close points decision. He was losing early in the fight, dropped Adames midway through, like 6th or 7th round. I think that turned the fight around for him.
Yeah.
Good fighter, exciting fighter, beatable. And I just think Castano, he's won 2 WBA regular title fights on away turf in France. Gets really good fighters as well in Cedric V2 and Michel Soro. Drew with Erislandy Lara, who may be the best fighter in that division as well. I just think if I had to back someone in that fight, it's him. Fight's already in the books, going to happen before the end of the year, and I think he'll win it.
Yeah, I think that's a solid choice. Do you think he's going to be the most out of all of your picks? Do you think he's going to be the soonest to win it, or would you still pick the first pick?
It's hard to say because I don't know when it's going to get rearranged for.
True.
I would think because WBSS needs to start their 3rd season, they're going to want to get the 2nd season out of the way as quick as possible, which is why they've already postponed it twice.
It's all about business, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think that will probably happen earlier. And they don't rely so much on live gates as well. They rely on their TV people, so it makes it more likely behind closed doors.
One thing I would say about the live gates and stuff is the fact that obviously the money comes in from fans coming to the arena and whatnot, but the fact that there's also such a thirst for live sports at the moment as well. People who don't usually watch boxing are going to be tuning in no matter what fight it is. So although they'll miss out on gate money, the amount of people that are going to buy from home, even though they don't usually, there's going to be other sources
and it will do wonders for their profile as well, you would think.
For sure. But yeah, that'll lead me on to my next one, who's pretty much guaranteed. He's got a date booked on the Dubois undercard. He's the European champ at the moment, just beating an unbeaten fighter. Beat Leon Woodstock in, I think, for me, is probably his best performance. He's European champ. Can you guess? Super featherweight?
Super feather. Archie Sharp?
Yeah, Archie Sharp. I mean, I think he's got to be next up after his fight with. He's not been announced who he's fighting in July, but after that he's been vocal. He wants to fight the likes of Oscar Valdez this year. Well, not necessarily this year, but he's been vocal in saying he wants to fight that type of opponent now. He wants to go to America, train with the likes of Gervonta Davis, those sorts of people. And I think for me that the fact that I see him winning a world title this year is because he's a clever fighter. He's the type of fighter that employs the hit and not get hit strategy. He's not always the aggressor because he understands that if you are almost like a Leon Woodstock, if you're always the guy coming forward, you're going to get caught more times than you are if you just sort of sit back and you employ that make and miss, make and pay. And I think he's a clever boxer, and this is his time.
Yeah, I really rate Archie. I just don't know if he'll get his shot this year, but I do think when he gets his shot, he can rise to the occasion. Every time he's taken a step up, he's performed a bit better. Yeah. And I think he's still very young in the game and he can improve. He's fresh as well. He hasn't taken a lot of shots.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, I admire your patriotism in that you've gone for 2 British guys so far. I'm gonna
switch up next, don't worry.
I'm gonna switch back to home comforts and pick a British guy now. Lawrence Okolie.
Yeah.
Obviously already agreed a deal to challenge for the WBO, the vacant WBO title. Oh, no, sorry, not the vacant WBO title, or is it? I can't remember what happened with Glavatsky and Breidis and whether he was nominated to fight for the vacant or whether he was reinstated as champion after the controversial finish of their WBSS semi-final. But either way, it's a WBO cruiserweight title fight. Okolie, numbing power, very awkward, rangy, hard to fight, improving 100%. Also under Shane McGuigan. And I fancy him to rise to the occasion, beat Glavatsky. And that was agreed before the lockdown. We haven't got a date for it when boxing resumes, but again, it's almost certain to be before the end of the year.
How do you think he's going to perform? Because he's only had one 12-rounder in his career. And often, well, not often, but I'd say in some fights, he certainly overshoots that right hand or the jab and, well, the right hand. And that can obviously tire him out and drain his gas tank. Do you think that'll be a problem considering he's only had one 12-rounder?
I think it's a big step up. I think both in class and in the kind of magnitude of the fight. I think if it was over in somewhere in continental Europe or if it was in Poland or whatever, I'd be more worried for him. I think the fact that it's almost certainly going to be in the UK is a big boost.
Yeah.
I just think he's the man on the way up. He's going up against a very talented, hard-hitting, grizzled veteran in
Yeah.
Glavotsky, who's been a world champion before, of course.
Yeah.
Okolie is the man on the rise. He's beaten everyone at domestic level when he was there. Other contenders have since emerged. He's so hard to fight with the physical dimensions. He needs to improve on the inside. He acknowledges that, but he's got great power as well. Big frame for the weight. He's almost certainly going to become a heavyweight at some point. And
Yeah.
under Shane McGuigan, I think the conditioning will be better than it's ever been.
Yeah, I think he's one of those. He's got a bit of stick from the UK fans because of how he hasn't gone straight into a world title fight, or he's taken his time. But I think it's right. It's good on him because he needs to get that experience. As I say, he hasn't always gone the distance. He needs to sort of build up a few more rounds, and I think he's at that level now where he can just step up. Not even fringe world champion level, just get that title fight, and could be his year.
I think fans are hard to please sometimes, and I say that as a fan myself because people will watch Okolie and say, "Oh, he's horrible to watch, all the wrestling, and he doesn't, he's a bit raw still." And the only way to get rid of that is to have more rounds and more fights against more creditable opposition.
Yeah.
And they can't rush him into a world title fight on the one hand and then say he's not good enough on the other. You need time to become a better fighter.
No, I understand that. I do understand that. Right, so last but not least, this one's going to be, I think it'll be a controversial one, but at the same time, I don't know. For me, it was just the fact that his last fight was controversial. It was a world title fight. I've been building up my opponents, so you don't actually know I'm going to pick still. It's going to be John Ryder. I know he's probably not expected, but because of that, how the Callum Smith fight happened, I feel it's only right. Callum Smith, he's not going to get Canelo now. It was looking like Billy Joe, but now because of the corona, it's sort of rumoured about being Triple G now versus Canelo because the zone sort of want to get a big fight, a comeback fight, get the money back, things like that. So it's looking like Callum Smith's not going to get Canelo anytime soon. In fact, I'm saying that I could get Billy Joe, but for me, John Ryder, he could put that demon to bed because a lot of people think he lost the fight. So why not? There's still something to fight for. It's not as if he can fight a tomato can next week. He might as well still, while he's in this part of his career, and if he wants to fight Canelo soon, he might as well keep fighting the best so that when he fights Canelo, he's up to speed and he's not been fighting tomato cans, as I say.
I almost hope you're right because if you are, we'll have a lot more British world champions.
Yeah.
The risk of arguing against myself.
I know. I did have some other ones, but that would probably be more at the end of 2021. The likes of, I was thinking of Ryan Garcia and then another British one, Zelfa Barrett. But yeah, back to Ryder. Yeah, I think he won the fight, and I think why not run it back? There'll be hype behind it because the first fight was so great. So it happens in the UFC. Why not make it happen in boxing?
I think there's a good chance that rematch happens this year, and I think there's also a good chance that Ryder gets the job done this time. But then Smith could improve his own performance, and it wouldn't surprise me if he won. But yeah, I think that's probably the best of your three picks in my view.
Obviously, yeah.
The viewers are going to decide who's got the best kind of stable of picks anyway. Yeah. You talked about a couple of yours that didn't quite make the cut, so I'll share with you a couple of mine. That was Nonito Donaire and Cole Frampton, former opponents of each other, of course. And they've both got world title fights pretty much lined up now. But it's just they're not favourites going into it.
Yeah,
exactly. That's why I didn't pick them in my top three. Donaire possibly fighting, or should be fighting, Nordine Ubali for the WBC bantamweight title. It's WBC. And Ubali's a very, very technically skilled fighter, and he might just be all wrong for Donaire. But Donaire's showing against Naoya Inoue suggests he's a live underdog in that fight. Frampton, obviously already a two-weight world champion, bidding to make history against Jamel Herring. That's been signed and sealed. But Herring's just massive for the weight and a very accomplished fighter in his own right. And if it's in the US as well, it's going to be a tough one, I think, for both fighters. And it's not a foregone conclusion that Frampton wins it.
Yeah, I guess. And sort of to sort of pull it back to my side, I guess Jamel Herring has said to Archie Sharp he'd give him a chance at the belt, a shot at the belt. So if he did beat Frampton or whoever he fights next, then he could give Archie Sharp a chance, and also just to pull it back to me one more, if Archie Sharp wins, then you could give Zelfa Barrett a shot, because that was sort of
It's a lot
a
of
fight
fights for this year, though, isn't it?
Pardon?
It's a
Yeah,
lot of
true.
fights for this year.
But in the fantasy world, Archie Sharp wins it like I don't know, October, and then because obviously they're rivals now, Matchroom and BT, Archie Sharp versus Zelfa Barrett, get the talk going. I know it probably won't happen, but that's just a makeup fight. That'd be awesome.
And then we've got Joe Cordina, Martin J. Ward, Liam Walsh.
There's plenty.
We've got a lot of super feathers in this country.
Yeah, definitely. I think as for the Sharp versus Barrett fight, I don't think it will happen soon, but I'm sort of glad that Barrett's moved to Matchroom, because it means in a few years that not rivalry, but that British belt could be worth a lot more, and that fight could be worth a lot more. So yeah, it's off topic a bit, but yeah.
How did you go about kind of coming to your picks? Because I know for me, it was kind of looking through the list of champions and considering who I thought was most vulnerable first, and then who had fights lined up.
For me, Anthony Yarde, you can't really go against, because of, you know, he's just fought in the nightclub, and he wants a world title fight next. And if he could be on the Dubois undercard, I don't think it's been announced he's on the July one yet. He was meant to be on the April one.
He was supposed to be fighting Lyndon Arthur, but yeah, it hasn't been.
Yeah, it hasn't been rearranged for the July one yet. But I just think the WBO, if the tournament doesn't go ahead, he should get another chance here, and we're not even halfway through the year, so the fact that he's gonna have 2 more fights before the end of the year, and one of them should be for a world title fight. As for Archie Sharp, he's the European. He's been vocal in wanting to go to America.
WBO European, we should point.
Yeah. So I think, why not Archie Sharp? And then of course, Ryder has just come off a close fight for the world title, which I thought he won anyway. So
I think Ryder's the most likely of your 3, just because that's the most likely fight to happen this year.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, now Canelo's going in a different direction. As much as we'd like to see Canelo and Billy Joe fight each other, I'm just not.
I'm not.
Callum and Billy Joe fight each other. I don't see it happening this year.
I'm not hoping on a lot for this year, really, especially if there's not going to be, you know, fans in the arena, then it's going to be. It depends what the promoters and what Top Rank and what all the businesses think, because it's not about what the fighters want to do and who they want to fight. It's about what makes money.
Well, to recap our picks, and perhaps in post-production we can add these as little, captions up on the screen so people know when they make their vote. I've got Maris Breidis, Brian Castano, and Lucian Okolie, and you've got
Anthony Yarde, Archie Sharp, and the one and only Ryder,
the Gorilla.
Yeah,
good stuff. And tell people how they can vote.
3, 2, 1, boom. The poll will come up now. You can have your say who you think is going to be world champion, and then I'm not sure if you can, but if you can sort of write your own, maybe. I don't think you can, actually. In fact, just let us know in the comments who you think will be champion by the end of the year. And yeah, I enjoyed this one.
Good. That's what it's all about.